Hello, welcome to my final presentation for CS 510 Internet, Web, and Cloud Systems. My name is Alyssa Tamayo, and I will be showing you around. So first, I will introduce my project, which is called H2OMG. I'll describe the high-level design. I'll go step by step on how to deploy my app in Google Cloud. I will show a cute dog video while we wait for that deployment. There will be a tutorial. I'll show you how to use my web app, and a quick retrospective to round out the presentation. So project overview. So H2OMG, it allows the user to search by city and state to see which facilities have public drinking water violations within the last 3 years. These include minor violations such as reporting non-compliance to serious health violations such as high levels of contaminants in public drinking water. High-level design. So I have two objects. The query handler handles all requests made to EPA's ECHO REST API and the EPA's Detailed Facility Report REST API. The map handler handles all of the requests made to Google's Embed Map API and Google's Geocode API. A bit about the application flow, and I will go more in depth about this when we visit the project online. The site will render a default Google map that centers around the entire United States. A user can then type in a city at the top search bar, and then the map handler will return the latitude and longitude of that city, and you will see the map zoom in. The query handler is initialized with the data from step 2, and it makes the requests to the EPA REST APIs. So upon successful response from EPA, the query handler then sends the list and details of the violating facilities to the map handler. The map handler will then parse through the facilities and create a Google Map object centering around the city provided by the user and containing markers of all facilities with violations. So what does this look like? Here we have the user sending its requests to H2OMG. H2OMG then goes to the query handler. The query handler first gets a list of all of the violating facilities here, but that does not come with the details needed to plot those facilities on the map. So then the query handler takes this list from the Drinking Water API and sends it to the Detailed Facility Report API, which then fills in all of the information we need for each facility. Once a full dictionary full of facilities and details is created, H2OMG then now sends that to the map handler, and it will go through every facility and take the name and search for its latitude and longitude through Google's Geocode API. And then once all of those information is filled, it sends it to the Google Map Embed API, which plots all the markers for the facilities and includes the detailed information about the facilities. The map is then passed to H2OMG, where that map and the markers are rendered. So here you can see the implementation of the query handler here and the map handler. So the default map handler is set to no markers, and the zoom, the lower the number, the farther away the scope, and the higher the number, the closer the scope. And so it's defaulted to US here. And if the location is passed in from the user, then this is where the work of getting the custom map with the custom markers is created. Query handler, so query and get water systems. This is kind of like the public method, as you will. And inside of this method, it calls all of these helper functions. So query and get the DFR. DFR is Detailed Facility Report, and get map data. And so this is what sends all of the water system information and puts it together neatly and sends it to the map handler. All right, and here comes the fun part. Let's deploy the web app onto G-Cloud. So step 1, find the repo, copy the clone information. There's my Cloud Shell. Okay, so I created a project titled H2OMG. Copy and paste the clone information. password. Should be there. Let's as a hack, I created a API key.text, and my program will read the API key from the text. I wish I came up with a more graceful solution, but as I'll talk about in the retrospective, I had to restart my entire program or implementation and project 4 days before the due date. So I was kind of in a bit of a crunch. So let's just move API key to H2OMG. And let's go in here. All right, so got my requirements installed here via pip. And let's just test that my web app works. Sweet. Now let's take a look. That's not the button. Change port. Change in preview. Awesome. So here is the splash screen. And this is the search bar where the user can type in the city. So let's do Happy Portland. Yay! No recent public drinking water violations. I think we already kind of knew that. How do I get out of here? Go back. Here. Okay. So it works. Quit. All right. Time to deploy this baby. This is probably going to take a few minutes. So, in the meantime, I have something for you. All right, this baby is done deploying. So under my H2OMG project, app engine and versions, here I have the app running. Here's the URL, which I must copy and upload it with my repo, url.txt. And let's play around with this a little bit. So here it defaults to US. I already did Portland, Oregon, and as I was playing around with this yesterday, actually all of the cities that I've poked around with in Oregon doesn't have any water violations, so woo! Orlando, Florida has an interesting result. Fun fact, I looked up Raleigh, North Carolina, and it actually crashes my program because they have a total of 42 current health violations. Yeah, so I'm not going to be looking that up for you guys, sorry. But one health violation is found. If I zoom out a little bit, here's the marker. If I click on the marker, the facility name is Taft Water Association. Here is a link to the facility details, which links to EPA's detailed facility report system. And if I just click on drinking water and scroll down to the 3-year compliance history by quarter. So it seems like they are constantly in violation. Ooh. And there's information about the lead content in the water if you scroll down, as recent as 2017. Yeah, so it's just really interesting being able to poke around different cities. Another fun one to look at is, let's look at LA. Did Vegas have one? I don't remember. Let's find out. No drinking water violations. Woohoo. Let's see. I think Los Angeles did have one. Sure did. It's Department of Water and Power, LA City. And links up to the facility details. Yeah, anyway, looks like they seem to be infrequent. So there you have it. This is how H2OMG works. Okay, a little bit of a retrospective. If I had time, I would add facility information in the details pane to the right of the map. I would also spend more time learning the Google's JavaScript map API. It allows you to add layers onto the map, and so I initially wanted to have a layer outlining the different counties, and the search would be by county and not city. But that was a lot more JavaScript than I was willing to learn in 4 days. So I just went with the marker approach because that seemed the most simplest. What I've learned from this project is I'm really excited that I was able to create and deploy my first ever web app. That was a lot of fun. And I definitely see more of these types of projects in my near future. Also, I learned that there are a lot of cities out there with outstanding and long-lasting water violations. I do recommend poking around in EPA's services that they do offer, even though my web app was a little slow to churn out, for example, Raleigh, North Carolina's water violations. It's really interesting to see and poke around the different cities. The biggest obstacle to overcome was I was stuck in the mindset of a MVP and an MVC model. But because my application isn't using a back end, it's basically querying data and presenting it to the user. It didn't really fit that model, and MVP and MVC just wasn't what I wanted it to do. But ever since the final project was assigned to me, that was the way I was designing the project. And 4 days before it was due, I decided, I asked the question, does it have to be in that model? And the answer was no. And I was like, great, I'm just going to try to reuse as much as I already did, but let's just do this differently. And that's where I came up with the query handler and the map handler. So yeah, and that's about it. Thank you for watching. I hope I get an A. Have a great summer. Bye.